how do you grow a business when you have health issues or time is needed? Everything that you need to do is go, go, go for a business, but you can't give 100%. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today with Stephen Powell. Stephen, thank you for being on the Solo Scaled podcast.
Thank you, Ken. It's great to be here. I look forward to it and sharing a little bit about me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, your transparency, your honesty that we're going to have, because I think a lot of times in online businesses, right, what you get is here's this awesome story, here's the epicness, here's what I've done, but then you don't hear the real life stories, the things that people struggle with, right? And how do you overcome those? So that's what I'm looking forward to our conversation today. Stephen, before we do a deep dive into your story, give us like a 20-second rundown about your business.
Sure, Ken. So I'm based in Alabama, but I have license in 23 different states
Yeah.
here in the United States. And I help those families that don't get the same opportunity as the very wealthy here. As a wealthy, you get plenty of financial opportunities, plenty of people knocking your door. So we kind of help that 90% population that doesn't get that same opportunity.
Yeah. And specific like wealth management services, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love it. I love it. So, Stephen, tell us your story. Like, how did you get into wealth management and what happened?
So I started out for 17 years. I was working in disaster recovery and doing very well, making good money, and just traveling the United States. I got married in 2017 and had a daughter, and then a few years later had another daughter.
Love it.
And so if you coming from a dad yourself, leaving home with kids is hard to do.
Oh,
So,
man, for sure.
as I would go out on the road and have to kiss the girls goodbye, it got harder and harder.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, man.
The wife would send me a picture of my youngest baby on a play fold, and she'd ask who you talking to, and she'd say daddy, and that kind of stuff's hard to deal with whenever you don't see them for a few months. And so as I would come home, I would visit with them and spend good time with them. But then in 2022, one morning I was working out here in the gym, and I felt a pain come through my chest. And as that pain come through my chest, I thought maybe I just turned something wrong. So once I stood up, I felt a pain shoot through my back, and I was on the ground before I could respond. And as I'm laying there, you pretty much are out of it. I had a stroke, an aortic dissection is what they call it, as well as a partial collapsed lung, all at the same time. And
Dude, that's crazy.
they didn't expect me to make it. My wife was told to call in the family and prepare for the worst. And so, by God's grace, I'm here. The surgeon did not want to do the surgery, but he knew there's no other way. So he did open heart surgery on me. And as I was recovering, I thought, if something would have happened to me that I didn't make it through that day, I don't know how my family would have survived. We didn't have any type of life insurance. I didn't have any set of, long-term financial goals for them set up. And so I started looking into how I could help families that may have a similar issue or, looking for something to provide. And I wanted it. And I found an opportunity for my kids to grow into a very solid financial future. And with that being said, I wanted to offer it to other families. And so once I found the opportunity, I jumped on it. I immediately got my kid and all my family on the plan. And so, offering it to other people, that's my goal now.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is that what you were doing was filling a need for yourself. You realized, I'm not set up to win. I don't have my kids set up to win. And if this were to happen again, what if? So then that brought you in this road now. You started doing it and then you realized, oh, there's a lot of people who probably need this too.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Walk us through, before we get too much into the business side of things. You told me that aorta disruption, right? Is that called it?
Dissection.
Dissection.
Mm-hmm.
You used layman's terms before we hit the record. What does that mean for people who have no idea what that means?
It's basically your aorta gets so large that it can't hold the blood. It thins out the walls, and it can't hold the blood that's pumping through it. and so it busts, if you will, and that's what happened. And then the blood that's inside just, you
Goes
know,
everywhere.
it doesn't go to your heart; it just goes wherever it ends up inside your body. Probably the most popular that a lot of people would realize is John Ritter,
Yeah.
who years ago played on Three's Company. That's actually what happened to him, was the same thing. Except, unfortunately, he didn't make it.
Now, so he doesn't make it. You, by God's grace, made it. What causes this? Because we were talking about you wanting to potentially bring awareness for people, but what causes that? Is that diet issue, health issues, genetics, or is that just some random chance that it happens?
It's mainly genetics. Once it happened to me, as we got to looking through my family, we seen a lot more of it on my mom's side with her family. And so that's the main cause of it. Of course, it can be diet, your normal unhealthy issues, but it's mainly going to be genetics that's tied to it.
Yeah. When you heard that you were going to die, and to give you context to this, when I was 19, I almost died. I had a tumor in my neck, and I thought I was going to die. Doctors were like, "Hey, I think you're going to die." I'm like, "That's never the news you ever hear." How did you process that information?
Ken, as I'm laying there on the gurney, because of course the guys in the gym had called 911 and got the ambulance and got me to the hospital, and I was in and out of consciousness, and so I'm laying there on the gurney, and I hear a male voice. I don't know if it was a doctor, nurse, whoever. I hear a male voice say, "He's not going to make it."
Hmm.
And I can't respond, of course, because I've had a stroke, so I can't talk. I can't communicate at all. And anyone who knows me knows I was a wide open type person. I mean, it's hard to keep me still. And when I heard that, as crazy as it sounds, I hope it doesn't sound too crazy, but you being a man of faith, I hope you can appreciate this. I saw a vision, and at the time, I had no idea who I was seeing. It wasn't a dream because I couldn't make out the resemblance. I saw a vision, and months later, I saw it was a man. He had on overalls. He had on a fedora hat, big guy. And months later, it come to me that could be my granddaddy that passed away when I was 7, 8 years old, 40 plus years ago, right? And so I called my mom immediately. I said, "Mom, did Granddaddy ever wore a fedora?" And because I knew he wore overalls, I knew he was a big guy. And she said, "Yeah." And when I saw that whatever it was, I don't know, I feel like it was God sending something to calm me down. And when I saw that, I felt immediate peace come over me that I could never explain to anybody that hasn't experienced it. I really hope nobody thinks I'm crazy, or anything like that, because, ever since I've realized that's who it was, I've stood by this. It was definitely God giving me that comfort at the time, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have made it. I probably would have, you know, not had that peace and just continue to be too excited and uptight and
Yeah.
have all the issues there.
It seemed like not only did you have a physical miracle of like being saved because of this, but also there was like some emotional and mental healing that you're like, hey, I used to be a certain way, but I kind of got a wake up call and I need to change.
Definitely. Definitely.
So with that, how does that now affect your business life? Because it sounds like you were doing one thing and then you kind of moved it, you morphed and started doing another thing.
It's given me more calmness about myself, not being in that rush, not being in that uptight where I've got to go, got to go, got to go. When you probably similar situation whenever you was diagnosed with yours, you take the small things and they mean a lot more to you.
Oh yeah.
The fact that I could come home and kiss my daughters and kiss my wife and, spend time watching TV and working my oldest daughter on softball. It changes that whole perspective of I've got to get to work. I've got to do this. I've got to do that to, you know what? That stuff will be there tomorrow when I sit at my desk.
Yeah. Yeah. It slows down and you're reminded about what really matters in life.
Right.
Because so many times people get stuck in the hustle culture where they're like, oh, well, let me answer 10 more emails. Let me make 20 more phone calls. Let me work till 7 p.m.
Yeah.
But all along, your kids are just there waiting. Like, I wonder when
Mhm.
dad wants to play with me.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
when they want to spend time with me. And it's like, oh, this is that wake up call to be like, no, I'm
Mhm.
going to be here. I'm going to remember these moments.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we talk about this a lot, that there's like, we have a lot of memories of the first time our kids do stuff, but we don't have a lot of lasts. Like,
Mhm.
when's the last time you're gonna hug your daughter or cuddle with your daughter, right? Or when is she gonna sit on your lap? And I have a 4-year-old and she likes to cuddle with me. But at one point, they go from being on your lap to sitting next to you,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, do we stop to remember those moments,
Mhm.
right? Or give them a piggyback ride,
Yeah.
or all these little things that we just forget because we're in such a rush, thinking that our business is the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
And if we don't slow down enough, man, our business could just eat us alive.
Yeah.
And this is where you've come in and you're like, no, man, I realize that there's more to life than just business. So
And
go
I'm
for it.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, go for it.
I think the hardest thing for me was whenever I was in the floor of that gym
Yeah.
and I couldn't speak. A guy from our church was actually calling my wife to tell her that I'd had a stroke.
Hmm.
And me not being able to, I wanted so bad to say, tell my wife and kids I love them.
Hmm.
And I couldn't get it out. And so, your listeners, anybody out there, I would say never miss that opportunity to tell somebody you love them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so crazy because we know it to be true, but we just forget it. So it's such a huge reminder. Like, these are the moments that we live for. This is the moments that the reason you started your business in the first place is because you want to be like a present for your family. So fast forward with me, Stephen, you get through the hospital, you go through this, you start doing rehab, and you start this wealth management service business because you're like, man, people need to be set up for life way more than they are right now.
Mhm.
How do you start growing it? Because, people struggle growing businesses, but how do you do it?
I start out with the people I know, the people closest to me. They're the ones who I know could benefit from it.
Yeah.
When I don't want to be that person who you go to your first cousin's funeral and his wife's standing there and saying, "Why didn't you help me?"
Mm.
So I started out with my family, my closest friends, and now it's since I've gotten licensed in a lot more states. I'm working on the online, the posting, trying to bring more awareness to people who everybody knows they need it, but not everybody wants to get it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm headed with it now, is just getting more awareness out there, letting people see what I can do, how I can help them. And some people, it's not for everybody. Some people are not willing to face it right now, and that's understandable, and that's okay. But when they are, I'm here.
I love it, man. And as you think about your friends and family, I know a lot of people who are nervous to talk to their friends and family for a number of reasons, right? They're like, oh, I can't tell them about my business. How do you help those people overcome that?
This is going to be another tragedy, and I feel sorry for got to keep bringing up bad thoughts.
No, 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 man. We keeping it deep. It's fine. It's real.
But I had a lady who I helped, and I started her in the business with me, coaching her and you know bringing her along. And she was that same way. She was ashamed to talk to any friends and family. She didn't want to harass them, to feel harassed or anything like that. Understandably so. Last year, her sister was killed,
Hmm.
and brutal guy walks up. She's on the back porch, just shoots her. They had to use the GoFundMe to afford her funeral. And had she been willing to offer that to her sister, who knows? Her kids wouldn't have had to rely on that GoFundMe or for final expense. And you don't want to, I definitely don't want to scare anybody, but it's a fact. At my same situation, it could have happened to me very easily, and my wife. If that would have happened that day, January 26, 2022, they would have been in the same situation. And so that's how I want, the people to see it, is to talk to their friends, their family, because you don't want to put them in that situation whenever it's so easy to prevent it. Very affordable to prevent that GoFundMe or whatever it may be.
Yeah. What's crazy about that is I know so many people who struggle with going out and reaching out to their friends and families because they're afraid that they're going to get rejected.
Mhm.
But you just talked about like having a conviction for something greater than the rejection.
Right.
Right? Like imagine if you could have set this family up to win, like your sister was set up to win and their kids was set up to win. Like they have to have a conviction to be like, oh yeah, I'm willing to sell this.
Mhm.
And I think, man, honestly, there's some people who just don't have that conviction.
Yeah.
They're like, they forget their why. They don't know what's the reasoning. They jump into starting a business because they thought, oh, I'm going to have time freedom. And sometimes I joke around with people. I'm like, you're trading your 9 to 5 for 24/7. You don't set it up right. You know what I mean? So I like that you're reminding them of this
Mhm.
conviction side of things. Because that's really important for those people who've like, hey, tell them if you really care about what you're doing, share it, be passionate, do those things. Right now, as you're trying to grow your business, Stephen, what's the challenge that you're having in growing your business?
Outreach. I do have a limited outreach. I'm on the older technology side, so I don't have the know-how of a lot of the younger people.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. AI is coming along so far. I'm trying to learn that as much as I can, because somebody who I follow says AI won't take your job. The people who know it will. I believe that. So that's the most difficult for me, is just reaching the people that need it, and being able to offer that to them, and just get them. I try everything I can to bring awareness to reach more people.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate the awareness that you are bringing to people. Let me ask this for those who are listening, they might have a business. They might be like, oh man, yeah, I could use wealth management services. What kind of wealth management services do you typically offer? And what do people typically, or maybe a better way to ask is like, what do people typically need that they just think they're going to be okay without it?
There's several different options especially for business owners, that we can do. You have what we call key person insurance, where if that key person to your company passes or leaves, you're able to have a large amount of money to replace that person or to sustain your business until it does happen. We're able to, for partners in business, we're able to offer where if something were to happen to one, and the spouse takes it over or kid takes it over, and that kid don't want to run the business, then the other partner is able to buy them out without going into a lot of trouble. We're able to, that income, that breadwinner, if you will, that comes into the family, we're able to take that and sustain that family, maybe even leave them in a better position than where they were. We're able to offer long-term care, which is the number one cause of poverty in middle class America today, for basically pennies on the dollar. Um, you got long-term care, you've got all types of business opportunities. You name it. If it involves money, I can help you in some way.
Yeah, that's cool,
All I
man.
need is somebody to reach out to me and tell me what they're looking for, or maybe what their situation is. They don't even got to tell me what they're looking for, just what the situation is. I can definitely come up with a plan that would benefit them.
I had a mentor. He actually was I'll call him my wealth management mentor. He was who taught me about wealth and generating wealth when I was 19. Didn't know anything. Great friend to this day. But about 3 years ago now, he had a stroke and he still can't talk. He still can't walk fully functional. But if it wasn't for long term disability insurance, he'd be screwed. And he was the one who was always telling me, he's like, Ken, you should get long-term disability insurance. I'm like, dude, I'm 20, I'm 25, he's like, well, one, you almost died once when you were 19. So wake up call. And
Right.
two, he's like, you're never promised tomorrow, but your kids are going to be here.
Hmm.
Right. So like you prepare, and I used to have like life insurance and stuff, but I remember him telling me that. And I kid you not, when I found out that he got a stroke and he's like, we don't know if we'll be ever able to walk. I was like, this is why you need long-term disability insurance,
Yeah.
just in case,
Yeah.
for those situations. Stephen, walk us through for you, man. You started this business, you're trying to outreach. I know having a stroke, it's kind of like one of those things that you never get back to 100%. So, how are you managing your health and a business and a family? Does it take a toll on you? Like, how are you dealing with all of it?
Priorities. I've had to stop and like I said earlier, just prioritize God, wife, kids, business, um, kind of that faith, family, finances situation. So, I work as many hours as I possibly can, but I'm not going to allow that to take away from my faith, from my family, and then we're going to put it into work time. So, my oldest daughter, she's 10, she's in softball wide open. You know, when she gets off the bus at 3 o'clock, I'm going to shut down things for a few minutes. We're going to go outside. We're going to work on softball. I'm going to come back in about 5:30, do a little more work to finish out the day, and then go enjoy the rest of the evening with the family. Some days with my health, I'm not as able to go out there and work on the softball as I want to. So it's a sit down and watch type deal. But fortunately, she was only 6 when it happened. My youngest baby, who was 4, just turned 4, she was only 2 months old when it happened. So, kind of the good thing is they've seen me through these health problems. It wasn't like daddy was going for them, and then all of a sudden it stopped. So
Yeah.
it's been kind of, we know daddy's had these problems. It's very difficult, Ken. It really is. Especially when she does want to go out there and play softball, or my 4-year-old wants to swing for half a day. It's frustrating, and but you do what you got to do. At the end of the day, I'm trying to stay healthy for them. I had to have another second open heart surgery, and I said I would never go through that again. The absolute worst experience you can imagine.
Mm.
I said I would never go through it again. But then, in November of last year, it was said that if I don't have it, I could very easily have the same problem, and probably wouldn't make the odds are not you make it twice if you happen that. And so, because of them, because of my family, I said let's do it. And that was the only reason I did it. It was just so I could hopefully see them walk down the aisle. I joke them they can't date till they're 45, but there's nothing that would make me happier that to see them grow and succeed. And if that happens again, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
So you just gotta focus on what's important to you. Like I say, if a client needs something, they can bet that I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to respond. But I've got the priorities as well, and I haven't had an issue with a client not understanding that.
Do you, when you talk about priorities, is there like a framework that you might use? Because I know with certain people, like with health issues, they prioritize their health. They might say something like, "Hey, I always prioritize my health," or "I always prioritize that I work from 8 to 12," or I'm sleeping 8 hours a day. Any type of frameworks that you use to help you prioritize and get the stuff done that needs to get done?
It's really when I drop my youngest off at K3 in the morning, and I'm home alone. My wife, she works as a nurse practitioner, so she's gone. My daughter's gone to school. Mother was going to K3, and so I use that time to do my work. And then, like I say, as they start coming in, I'll do it sporadically, you know. And all day at 2 o'clock, I get so tired, so wore out from my medical condition that I just have to break away. But, I pride myself on not missing any appointments, not missing any opportunities, but it just making sure that, like I say, my faith and my family comes before anything else. And then we can negotiate the rest.
And that it's crazy when you flip it upside down like that. Because culture will tell us make work priority, and we kind of addressed this earlier, right? But you're like, no, let's flip it and let's say faith and family first. And
Yeah.
if we do those things well, work is going to come. God's going to bless that. He's going to bring the right people. And to make sure people don't hear this, we're not saying we're lazy. We're not saying we're not working. We're not saying we're doing any of those things. We're just reprioritizing what's the most important thing in our life.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to miss an opportunity with a client, and I don't want to say that, but I am saying that my priorities is in that order.
Yeah, and that's super important for people to hear because it can be so counterintuitive. Stephen, man, for you, things that I like to do real quickly, and I forgot to mention this to you before recording. I like to give everyone who I talk to the last 5 questions. These are kind of like rapid fire, just like top of your head. What is it that you want, right? So everybody's being asked these same 5 questions. And part of the reason I'm asking these 5 questions is that I'm building a report, like a trend report of like, for small business owners, expert-led business owners, what are they going through? What are they walking through? So would love for you to answer these 5 questions. And then we'll wrap our time here. How's that sound?
It sounds good.
All right. So question number 1 is, what's something in your business you're experimenting with right now?
A lot more AI.
Okay. A lot more AI. I love it.
As far as I will, being a single business owner, I'm looking forward to that scheduling help, that answering email help. That's where I'm headed.
I love it, man. I love it. The number 2 then question is, which part of your business feels the most in flux these days?
See the most influx?
Yeah, like in flux, like you're trying to figure out, it's not solidified.
The change in finance is always changing. The laws are always changing. The different opportunities are always changing. A company that has one program today, tomorrow it'll be a totally different program.
Got it. Okay. Question number 3, what's a goal you're building toward this year that you're really excited about?
The goal I'm building to is I want to have more people on my staff to help, and a lot more clients.
I love it. Do you have a number of how many staff you'd want?
I'd like to have 10.
Okay. I like it. All right. Last question is, when your kids grow up, what do you want?
That daddy did all he could to provide for them, to make sure they had a good life, that he loved Jesus, and that he was a hard worker.
I love it, Stephen. Thank you so much for those. As you think about all that stuff in your business, there might be people who are interested in you because they're like, man, he's authentic. He gets it. He's trying to work with people who might not be the wealthy, but want to set them up for wealth. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
I've got a website, powellfinancials.com. I'm on Facebook as Powell Financials as well. LinkedIn is under Showtime Financials. My number is 850-209-4165.
Yeah, I love it. All that's going to be in the show notes for you guys. So if you're like, oh man, that's going to be super important for me to grab it on the show notes. It's going to be there. Stephen, thank you so much for sharing your heart, sharing where you're at in your business, and just hopefully help that this can help others grow theirs and continue to develop their processes, their systems. And excited how you're going to use AI in the future, man.
Thanks, Ken. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I wish you the best.
Thanks, man. And for all of you who are growing your business right now, as you're thinking about what can I do, always remember we are here in Solo Skill Podcast We're helping you as an expert-led business. We know that you're doing this, you're growing solo, but we don't want you to do it alone. That's what we're here for. You guys have a great day.
Thanks.